Hi, my name is Tyler Olson. I started a business called SMC Pros. I happen to be helping and facilitating with this Tech It Out presentation. And if you're watching this video, you're likely being considered or are considering helping high school students be motivated and inspired to go into the IT industry. And so really the whole industry needs your help to motivate students to go into IT because we need more people in IT. And so in this presentation, we're going to walk through slide by slide what the thinking was for each slide so you can be an effective presenter. I usually start any presentation with questions, inspiration, who I am, why I'm here today, those kinds of things. Start to make it interactive right away. Does anybody know what IT stands for? It's a really simple question to ask. High school students may not know that answer, but it's something they're going to need to know. So good afternoon. How are we all doing today? Good. You excited to learn about IT and what the IT industry is all about? Yes. Oh, come on. A little bit of excitement. We're going to have some fun today. I'm excited to talk because the IT industry is fascinating. I've been in it my whole life. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of money to be made. There are a lot of different ways that IT impacts every single one of your passions, whether it's music or art or science. IT is involved in every single component of our lives. And it's going to be for the rest of our lives in an increasing way. And so we're going to talk about what is IT? What does it stand for? What does it look like? How does it feel? And the goal is, to help you find resources if you want to go into IT, where you want to go, who you should talk to, and have some fun today. So that's our goal. Does that sound like fun? Yeah. All right, good. So my name is Tyler Olson. I used to own an IT business similar to a Geek Squad type service. Has anybody had Geek Squad to your homes? Yep, we're an IT person to come fix your computers. So that's what I did while I was in school at the University of St. Thomas. And we had lots of technicians that fixed computers across the Twin Cities, and it was a lot of fun. And then as an entrepreneur, I just saw a bigger, better opportunity in the social media space. And so interestingly, I started a business where all we do all day long is sit on Facebook and help companies with Facebook. Does that sound like a fun job? I have actually 11 full-time employees. And what we do is we help people with Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and these tools. Is anybody on Facebook? Yep, okay, everybody. Twitter? All right, we got a few of us. Have we watched YouTube videos before? All right, so that's what we do. And it's a lot of fun. And who would have ever thought that people would pay us to be on Facebook and help them with Facebook? Is Facebook a hard tool? No. But businesses are willing to hire companies like us and people like us to help them with these kinds of things. Fascinating opportunities exist out there. And so no matter what you want to do, whatever you're passionate about, there's something in IT that can connect to it, whether it's design or marketing or sales or starting businesses. Everything is out there. And so today we're going to talk about what is that. And so first pop quiz. What does IT stand for? Does anybody know? Yes? Information technology. Information technology, you got that. Some people don't know what memes are, so I usually bring up that word. Do you know what a meme is? And use that word just so they can recognize that. But we want to help people recognize the differences that IT is seen as, because I think, especially when I think about when I was this age, I never would have thought that IT people were the supermen. To me, I just fixed computers when I was in high school. I didn't think it was a big deal. But to know that businesses really value strong IT people is something that's very valuable. Kind of inspire people that this is the future of where it's going to go. So you want to kind of help provide them a different mindset of where this is all coming from. Has anybody seen these memes before? Yep. All right. So we're all kind of familiar with what memes are. There's this really interesting mindset, how different people perceive IT and what the IT industry is. Students kind of think of it as, the nerdy, geeky guy who's programming calculator games. I don't know if that's still what you guys do today, but I was one of those guys in high school not too long ago. I'm only 26 years old, so I'm not that far ahead of you. Old people see me as superheroes. My grandma still calls me having her fix her computer. You know, society looks at it as like this matrix code. Like what in the world? How does this work? It's just magic. Businesses always see IT as the superheroes. When IT works, businesses are just happy. And it's just like that guy is Superman who is making our lives the best possible thing for us. IT professionals kind of see this as a cool thing. There are actually some businesses, you know, that have those Minority Report. Have you seen the Minority Report movies? Where you actually like scroll your hands across computer screens. New Microsoft Surface. If you go to the Microsoft store at the Mall of America, there's that Microsoft Surface tablet and TVs where you can actually have touch screens and do cool things with computers. And really, IT is the future. It's where everything is going. IT will impact everything from the glasses that you wear, to the clothes that you wear, to the cars that you drive. And it's going to impact every single thing that you do. And so today we're going to talk about, you know, how this all comes together and why it's important to be thinking about how is it going to impact your future, your career. I'll let the video speak for itself because the video actually does a decent job kind of highlighting some aspects of why IT is cool. One of the things you need to prepare for is that the IT, this video and this presentation, it's either going to be embedded into your PowerPoint or not, depending on how it's ultimately exported to you. But you need to have a reliable internet connection, or you very likely do. Most locations don't have reliable internet, so think about that in advance. I used my air card. On 3G, it's not fast enough for YouTube. On 4G, it is, as I learned today. So this video quality looked great here, but on the school's internet connection, it didn't look that good. And when you're talking about IT, you really don't want to have a poor quality video. So just prepare for that. But the video does speak for itself.
Information technology, IT. It's this, and this. IT is wow. It's stuff your parents haven't even thought of yet. IT is moving, it's mixing, sharing, and more. IT is solving problem, thinking, and processing. IT is making money, saving lives, changing the world. It's a living, it's a life. IT is in your pocket. It's at your fingertips. It's here, there, and everywhere. IT is on CSI, in business, in the lab, it's in the hospital, on the radio, in the movies. IT is behind eBay, iTunes, and Facebook. IT is people who make it work, who figure it out, make it happen. That's it. That's IT. Information technology. Talk to your school counselor. Take the classes. You're it.
IT is everywhere, and get them to start thinking about everything they think about or everything that IT can possibly be involved in. I mean, I started asking questions about Facebook. Who's on Facebook? And everybody's on Facebook, but realizing that, wow, this is a whole business of 5,000 or 10,000 employees that are in IT. And to be thinking that way is interesting. Google, I mean, everybody Googles, but it's almost like IT becomes second nature if IT people are really doing their jobs. And so to kind of help connect the dots, that there are, you know, 10 or 20,000 employees at Google that are just focused on IT, and they're doing this every single day as their full-time job. And just kind of connect those dots. You know, Angry Birds, kids play games. So I talk about, you know, who plays games, video games. You know, video games need designers, they need developers, they need analytics people, they need all sorts of things. I mean, Zynga's got another 10, 20,000 employees. So again, I try to connect the dots around where IT is. I talk about the lights, I talk about the video projector, I talk about any technology I see in the room, and just start connecting the dots so people can start to visualize how important IT is and how that it's everywhere. I also use lots of hand motions. I try to ask questions throughout. I just find that, especially with high school students, they get bored quickly. So you have to be constantly thinking about them and what's going through their minds. It's kind of hard if you don't present often to be thinking about what's going on in their minds, but you want to be thinking about how are they perceiving me. Almost visualize yourself in their eyes. So really, IT is everywhere. It is in everything. You look at this room, laptop, pointer, air card. Your school's internet was not fast enough to play that video. So I brought my own air card so that we can actually create internet on the spot, anywhere. You got lights, you got sound systems, you got video systems. Somebody was commenting on this Bose sound system over here. This is one of the coolest Bose speakers I've ever seen. I was actually in the Bose store this past week, and that was not there. I'm really jealous that it's here, because that sounds like something that I should have in my bedroom, or like 4 of them around everything, because that'd be awesome. So really, IT is hardware. It's software. We've all been on Facebook. Facebook has something like 5,000 programmers. Google's up to like 20,000 people. Pretty much everybody's in IT, developers. What's really interesting, does anybody have an idea of what Google's starting salary is? Any idea? Way up there. 80,000? The average person in their first year at Google makes $120,000. First year, just out of school. You have to be one of the best in the country. But because what's really interesting, the reason that I'm here today, is there are not enough people, high school students, college students, wanting to go into IT. And what happens is there is a shortage of people that are good at this, and the demand is really high. And so to pull the best talent, they have to pay that much. And so if you want to make a lot of money, there's a lot more to life than making money. But if you want to make a lot of money, these are types of places and careers that you can go into. Google's also a lot of fun to work at. We're going to talk about some of these things in this presentation. But it impacts everything from Netflix to Angry Birds. Anybody play Angry Birds? You can admit it in this room. I do. Then there are several slides, I can't remember how many, but 3 or 4, that talk about different industries. And before I get too far, as you probably saw in the other video, I asked people what industry they want to go into. And in high school, they don't really typically know, but if you do a good job engaging your audience, at least a few people might speak up. And so in this scenario, we had journalism, we had video production, we had engineering. And so then throughout, because I got those 3 answers, I try to bring it out throughout the whole presentation and try to connect the dots. Again, the more you connect the dots, I find that you need to tell people what you're about to tell them. You need to tell them, and then you need to remind them what you just told them. And then hopefully 50% of the time they'll remember what you said. And so the more times you can kind of repeat, even though in this presentation I repeated myself a lot, that helps people connect the dots faster. So I try to bring it back and make it real for each individual person. So we talk about healthcare. Again, lots of easy examples that you can think about related to healthcare. Again, the more you can personalize it to the audience and or provide real-life examples that you can think of. I provided some on the spot that I frankly made up as I was reading the headlines. And it worked out fine. You know, banking, manufacturing. Maybe you know people in these categories. And you can talk about personal examples. You know, you got friends in all sorts of industries. If you start to bring up those examples, that really helps a lot. Some more, automotive. I talked about the autonomous driving vehicles. It's kind of a cool thing, especially with guys, girls as well, but those who, many people that are going to go into IT or are passionate about anything related to IT think that autonomous driving cars are cool. And so the more you can kind of bring in a cool factor, I mean, that's really what motivates a lot of people today. Business, education. I mean, the education industry is being rapidly revamped and changed. I tried to, again, apply it to them in the education concept by talking about, you know, laptops in schools, talking about whether they watch TED videos for classes and YouTube videos. Everybody raised their hands saying they've watched TED and YouTube videos. Again, the more you can get people to raise their hands, to engage, to become connected to you, the more they're going to listen, the more they're going to remember, the more they're actually going to take note of what you're saying. And so we need to make sure that in your presentations, if you really want to be effective, try to engage the best you can. It's hard if you don't do it much. And it's kind of hard to practice in front of a mirror engaging yourself. So you'll get it better as you keep going on. Sports, music, entertainment. We tried to provide a few more examples of industries that are very common with people. Everybody in high school has to do sports at some point, or most schools. They have to be in a music class. They have to be in some sort of entertainment. So again, trying to apply it to them is very important. Law enforcement interaction. It's really easy to apply social media into this. Being in the social media space, it's really easy for me to talk about it. how it's changing communication as we know it, and how it's always going to permanently impact the education space. IT impacts, again, every single industry. We've been talking about this. But I want to show some examples of the different industries that it does impact. So I know it's earlier, you know, you're all in high school. Does anybody have an idea of where you want to go with your career, where you want to go in life? Maybe? Yes?
I want to be a journalist.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This world needs quality journalists. Anybody else? Yep.
Film production.
Film production.
Chemical engineer.
Chemical engineering. A lot of fun. Anybody else? It's still early. You got a lot of time to decide. All of those fields have IT heavily impacts. Journalism, what's really interesting about the journalism industry is that social media has crushed the journalism industry in such a way where it's, because so many newspapers are going out of business, you're either really, really good and are being paid well, or you're a blogger not making any money at all. And there are a lot more people just creating content and writing for free. And it's kind of making the whole industry have a huge impact. But still great and strong need. Chemical engineering, obviously, you know, film production. We're looking at film production. There's a lot of fun IT work. But healthcare, a lot of, the Twin Cities is known for its healthcare and medical device community. From easily sharing clinical data, you know, nursing applications, electronic records. There are some huge shifts in the industry that are forcing everything to go electronic. Doctors today have to use those tablets in many locations now to have electronic data records. Manufacturing, retail. Companies are always trying to figure out how do we make our systems better, more efficient, faster. All of this involves technology, theft reduction. One of my friends is in engineering, and he is on technology R&D and how to make manufacturing lines safer. So he comes up with little technology widgets to figure out how do we make the manufacturing lines themselves safer for people. So instead of 1 in 100,000 people getting injured, it's 1 in 1,000,000 people getting injured. Banking, you know, mobile banking, online banking, fingerprint technology. A lot of technologies are happening at a very rapid pace, and the evolution is accelerating. Automotive, cars can talk to you today. And pretty soon, has anybody heard about that Google car that can drive itself? All right, so it will happen in our lives that we won't have to drive cars anymore. The cars will drive us to work. And we can either read books, we can sleep in later, we can do whatever. We can choose. But that technology exists. California, Nevada today, you can have autonomous driving vehicles. And Google's working on a program to figure out how do we safely do that. Again, how cool would it be to work on an autonomously driving car? Just think that'd be fun. And many of you may think of something related that also might be fun. Business impacts every part of business. Education. Does anybody use YouTube to learn in class? Yep. Has anybody watched any TED videos? Yep. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Education space is changing rapidly. And technology is helping. A lot of schools are now providing laptops for students. Colleges are as well, or they're mandating it. And so technology is becoming a big part of the education space, making sure that you guys can learn as efficiently as you can throughout your schooling careers. Some more industries, sports and sports equipment. There was a Wall Street Journal article recently where this guy does statistical analysis on how fast people run and how well they turn to the left versus turn to the right in football. And so then he trains teams on how to defend against each player based on statistical analysis of video, watching videos over and over and over again, and calculating people's speeds and ability to turn and agility and all these kinds of things. But technology helps make that possible. Compatibility with devices. Football quarterbacks have audio devices in their helmets so they can talk to coaches. Easier to break down plays, safer equipment. Music, recording on your computer, making your own YouTube videos. Has anybody made your own YouTube video? Have your own YouTube channel? Yeah? No, you don't have to be embarrassed. This is a positive thing. I have my own YouTube channel, and sometimes I'll walk. I'm kind of a nerdy guy myself. I'll walk down the hallway with my phone pointed at me, and I'll create my own YouTube video about what's going on in my life today. And then I'll upload it to YouTube, and whether people watch it or not is their choice, and whether they're interested or not is completely arbitrary. But that allows me to interact with thousands of people in a relatively short period of time. Entertainment, 3D, 4D, virtual reality, augmented reality are all part of our lives and are going to be an increasing part of our lives. So do you see how this could impact what you want to go into? Filmmaking, engineering, journalism. It impacts everything that you want to do. And that's why it's important to be thinking about as you choose the classes you take in high school, in college. You want to be thinking about, how is this going to impact my future, to be able to learn even the basics of IT and where it's going. Some more industries, law enforcement. Oh, there's a really cool robotics company in town called Recon Robotics. They make throwable robots that you throw. It's primarily for the military, but you can throw these little robot machines on buildings, and then it's got wheels with micro machines type, a little drivable car that you can drive with your remote. And you can sense, whether there's oxygen up there, whether there are people up there, have cameras and everything. There's a company in town that's all they do, is they make robots that are throwable and can be dropped from helicopters 1,000 feet in the air. Kind of a cool thing. Improved satellite imagery. We got Google Maps. You guys have probably had Google Maps really your whole technology lives. You guys use that to drive places? When I was your age, that didn't exist. How do you think I went from place to place? We had these maps. What were they called again? Atlas maps? I can't remember, but you'd have a physical map in the back of your car in your trunk. And you pull up the map and you have to go to A5 and look at B6 and draw it on your own paper map. That's how people have done it their whole lives. And all of a sudden we have Google Maps, and how much easier is life? It's tremendously easier. Interaction on social media. Communication is changing. A few of you are on Twitter. You know what it's like. You can communicate with more people faster than ever before. You can be in class and talk with somebody in a different class. You can be comparing notes, whatever it might be that you're doing. Communication happens at the speed of light. And after you kind of talk about what is IT, why is it important, and you talk about some specific examples of IT in the real world, then you shift towards, why are you here today? And this is probably one of the most important slides. You want to slow down, you want to pause. You want to give people time to realize that this is why I'm here today. I'm here today to help open the eyes for all of you to realize we have a problem in this country, in this society. There are so many jobs opening in IT, and there are not enough people wanting to go into IT. We need your help. I kind of use the plea angle because I think people respond to that. I try to motivate people. I start talking about money, which some people are motivated by. I start talking about fun, which many people are motivated by. I start talking about some of those really core examples of why IT is a great place to go, but then also more importantly, why it's so necessary today. So we start listing off some facts. There are 148,000 IT workers hired in 2011. It's expected to quadruple in 3 or 4 years. Pause. If people are listening, if they're engaged, that will mean something to them. That's a lot of jobs. Today's economic world, jobs are very important. Many people are getting out of college today and not having jobs. But what's really interesting is anybody going to the IT sector is getting jobs right away. So if you want a job, if you want a stable career, if you've seen families that break apart because husband or wife can't get a job, mother or father, if you want to create a stable family life for your future, IT might be a really good industry to go into. The unemployment rate for IT workers is 3.8% versus national average of 9.1 last year. Interesting stat. Again, might resonate with people, maybe especially females who maybe more family focused in thinking about kids and futures. The lower the unemployment rate, the better it is for family stability. Demand is growing, cultures are fun. Talk about average salaries. So average salary is about $81,000. We talked about Google in the presentation earlier. The average starting salary is, I didn't know the exact number. I honestly made up a number, but it's something like $120,000 is average for a first-year employee at Google. Average across the country is $81,000 for IT. That's pretty high. I have many friends who are getting jobs at $30,000 out of college. There's a big difference between 30 and 80. So you kind of talk about that difference and help try to get it to resonate with people. So really, again, the reason that I'm here is the IT industry needs you. We have 148,000 IT workers that were hired last year. And that number is expected to quadruple in just 3 years. All right? There's a problem. We don't have 4 times as many students graduating with IT degrees. This country is going to have a problem. And we need your help. We need you to help inspire people to go into IT. And there are many reasons to do so. The unemployment rate for IT workers in 2011 was 3.8%. And the national average was 9.1%. I find the same thing. When people go into IT, they have a pretty stable job. If they want to be in the same job their whole lives, they can, frequently. People our age don't think that way as much anymore, and so they like to bounce around. But if you want to, there's stability in IT. Demand is growing. Businesses are offering more perks and creating fun company cultures. You've probably heard about some of the things that Google does. At Google, everything is paid for. Your daycare for your kids, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, your laundry, your commute, they provide transportation. Everything is paid for. They try to make it as easy as possible because they want you to work there. And even though they're paying you $120,000 your first year, that's how badly they want you to work there and not ever leave, because there are so few people that are that good. Average salaries tend to be a lot higher. Now, I don't know if you've looked into salaries yet. I didn't when I was in high school. But the average IT salary is in the $81,000 range out of school. That's, that's not right out of school, but that's average tech salary. That's a decent salary. You can live off of that. The bonuses are some of the highest in the industry as well. I mean, you get, 8, 9 grand bonuses if you do well. Then here's a slide of just a really simple example. You can use your own example, whether you talk about Google and Facebook and how the company cultures there really impact why people want to work there. But again, focus on IT jobs tend to be the most fun of any industry. Why? Because there are so few people in IT and so many jobs. There's this disbalance or imbalance of people wanting to work. And so in order to keep and retain employees, to attract the top talent, they make it fun, So I highlight and I try to read every single bullet point on the slide. I usually don't like to do that on any slide, but I do here on purpose because every single one is interesting. I'd love to have professional massages at my workplace every single day. And I might have to do that now that I get reminded about it here. But the Nerdery is a great example of a fun workplace. If you don't know much about the Nerdery, just Google it before your presentation. There's a Wikipedia page. There's a About Us page on their website. They've grown from nothing to 100 employees in a few years, then 100 to 350 in the last probably 2 or 3 years. And they've got huge offices down on the southwest side of the Twin Cities. And they're a fun place to tour. You can actually walk in the front door. They may not still have this, but they had a Apple IIe or some really old computer right in the front door. Like, this is where we used to make software. Here's a local company called the Nerdery. You may not have heard of the Nerdery. The Nerdery is one of the fastest growing IT companies in town, specifically in web development. And that's really all they do. They don't even have designers. They don't have SEO people. They don't have analytics. They don't have social media. We're talking with them. Actually, we met with them this morning to do some social media work with them and their clients. But they have about 350 employees that just do development for the Best Buys, the Targets in town. And again, same issue. They have arcade games in the offices. They have coolers stocked with free soda and energy drinks. You can bring your dogs to work. You have free breakfast every day. They have massage therapists. You can get a massage anytime you want. I don't know about you, but I like that idea. I don't have that quite yet at our business, but we're working on that. Nearly every wall has a whiteboard. You got fitness balls instead of chairs if you want them. You have barbecue on Fridays. You can ride scooters. You have a bathroom that tweets when someone's in it. I didn't realize that I didn't read that before now, but apparently that's the case. Not sure why, other than it might be humorous. Conference room is full of Legos. Everyone is a co-president at the Nerdery. These are the benefits you can get. And oh, by the way, they hire people even while they're still in school. And you can have fun while you work. A lot of people get into careers that they don't enjoy. What I'm trying to say here is in IT, if you do the right thing, you can find a place that you'll enjoy and you won't ever want to leave. Next slide talks about, job satisfaction. It's kind of hard to relate job satisfaction to a high school student, at least from my perspective. But then you talk about happiness. People who are happy are people who are satisfied, and vice versa. So I kind of use that happy term a little bit. And so I talk about 5 of the top 16, top jobs, top careers are IT-related jobs. That's a good percentage. They're paid well. They have the most fun. They're the happiest. I use a personal example here that my sister's a pharmacist, and I can speak to that. She has a really, really easy job. She's going to get paid an extraordinarily large amount of money, disproportionately large, partially because there's an imbalance in pharmacy, just like there's an imbalance in IT. And the imbalance in IT is even heavier than pharmacy. And that's what makes for a great workplace. There's a lot of studies that happen about happiness in the workplace and how happy people are in their careers. And some of these leading surveys often and frequently say that IT provides the happiest and most satisfied employees. It's hard to see this, but at the top we got systems engineers, IT project managers, computer consultants, intelligence analysts, software product managers, software developers, alongside of pharmacists and anesthesiologists. Pharmacists and anesthesiologists, I don't know if you've ever studied those industries. My sister's going to be a pharmacist. She's going to make $110,000 right out of school. And all she does all day is count the number of pills that go into the pill container and then give the pill to the customer and say, hey, you're awesome, and have a good day. She's going to have a really easy, simple life. She's really looking forward to that. But there's such a high demand for pharmacists. They make life easy. They pay well. It's a really stable job. You can have your whole life. And the IT jobs are all above that in the same caliber ranking system. So that's the kind of opportunity that's out there. IT and all of its opportunities. On this slide, showcase the widespread genres that IT involves. I mean, everything from Facebook, which is the #1 most visited website on the entire internet by a very significant factor. Nobody's even close to second, not even Google. To Geek Squad, where you actually have hands-on technicians in your homes fixing your computers. There's numerous genres and job opportunities in between. And just kind of focus on that and talk about a few examples. IT's broader than you think. From Facebook to Geek Squad, there are businesses in all sorts of different industries. But here's another video that is relatively interesting about a different way to look at IT, because again, it involves absolutely everything that we touch. I usually try to introduce the video as this is a cool way where from the genre of Facebook to Geek Squad, here's a cool implementation of technology. And just leave it at that. Because then people are thinking, oh, what is this? What is it? And they really want to watch it. If you tell them too much, they don't really want to watch as much, whereas if you just kind of let them watch, they really enjoy it. And then right after the video is done, it's about the Illuminati team that was on America's Got Talent. They just incorporated music and dance and art and technology in a really cool way that allowed them to win. Because they integrated technology into everything, it was different enough. Just by some really simple things that helped them kind of get to the next level, to the next step. And so what I try to do is pause and think about and just try to help inspire people in their minds. What could you do? What could you be thinking about that could be something like this? I mean, everybody here is passionate about something, whether it's animals and pets, or it's music and dance, or it's wrestling. How can you incorporate technology into this? How can you think of something new, different, that can set you apart? And just start inspiring those kind of creative thoughts.
The iLuminate's about to go on stage. Back here is the woman that makes it all happen. She created the program, she choreographed it. That's where the magic happens, right there.
See your body rock, energy like a billion watts. Bass be booming, the speakers pop. Galactic, call me Mr. Spot.
So here's an example of, you need somebody who's creative to think of this. You need dancers who can dance. You need somebody active in technology to kind of facilitate and make it all happen. But this Illuminati team won because they integrated technology, music, dance, all in a fun way. I mean, is that cool? I mean, I would enjoy, if I could dance, I can kind of dance, but if I could dance better than I could, I'd do that and be up there and have fun. Or I'd create it. I really would enjoy all of that. Every one of those roles there can be a lot of fun. On this next slide, we talk about kind of the 4 main categories of the IT world. Now, could there be 4 different categories that are used? Absolutely. But these 4 are the ones that are throughout the presentation, so stick with these 4. But we talk about infrastructure and support related jobs, programming and development, information assurance, database, and informatics. Double check this word, it's informatics, and make sure you say it right, because if you say it wrong, which I did the first time I presented this information, A, it didn't make sense, and B, everybody in the audience knew it and corrected me. And then management. So then we go into each one of those. So infrastructure and support, we've got 3 people. We tried to have, the purpose of these next few slides is to inspire people to put themselves into the shoes of others and see where could their career end up, where could it grow. Again, these are high school students, so this is way far off for them, but the more I can try to get them to be inspired to think about their future, the better off this presentation is going to be for them. And so here I try to talk about, Robert Stevens. He's a great local Minnesota example of a great man in IT. If you haven't heard one of his presentations, I'd encourage it. But it's really easy to talk about Robert Stevens, the founder of Geek Squad. He built something great. He started in the early 90s, got to 30 employees by 2000. Best Buy acquired him. All of a sudden, he's got 10 to 25,000 employees around the world through Best Buy. And he built the infrastructure of IT support. Isabel Olsen was a senior designer at Google, leading Project Glass, and just kind of, we'll talk about Project Glass in a few more slides, but just something really cool. Again, a female in the workplace, in design, engineering, technology, all in one, that's making things happen. Throughout these people, we tried to have a variety of females, males, minorities, every genre, so we can kind of help people feel comfortable and feel able to connect with anybody. Mary Lou created the one laptop per child program. Again, there was this idea to have a $100 laptop, and she helped make that happen. And all of a sudden we have technology that's given to another billion people on this planet. So I don't know how many laptops they sold at the program, but again, you can just kind of inspire people by saying, here are people that are changing the world. Think of how much global impact each of these people have had in IT. And here's some more. We've got Bill Gates, richest person in America, maybe even the world. I can't quite remember. Mark Zuckerberg, and Ada Lovelace. So again, just keep thinking about examples. This one on the left here with Mark Zuckerberg, this guy named Alex Weiler. He did an internship program at a local company that basically provides internships and jobs to programmers. So he's a local guy who worked in a development shop as a college kid and then got an internship and job at Facebook. And, it's just kind of a cool local connection, while he's still young. And so you can kind of just start connecting the dots around, different fields. So here's programming development. And Ada Lovelace here created the first programming languages. And I talk about kind of the coolness factor of somebody in the 1850s developed a computer language. She was so forward thinking. She envisioned someday, and you can Wikipedia her. She's got a really fascinating story. It's basically what I did to learn about her. And she thought there might be machines someday that could understand programs and understand languages and do things with them. And so her software is currently being used in the Department of Defense just because it's a good language and nobody else uses it. It's really secure. Then we got some more examples in the information assurance world. Eric Roby is a friend of mine, but again, I would try to at least roughly Google a couple of these people or read the stories about some of them in some of the materials you'll receive through this program, just so you get a heads up. But the titles here should help you just kind of on the spot, talk through people, whether they're hackers turned computer security or computer forensics. You probably know enough about each of those fields to give a 2 or 30-second summary of each of them. Remember, you only have 50 minutes. To some that sounds like a lot of time, but this presentation is geared towards about a 50-minute conversation. I find that in my own experience, I can talk a long time, and most people can talk a long time, even though if you don't think you can talk a long time, you probably will. And so it's a good idea to just practice it once at least before giving it, potentially more times if you don't present much. Just get a feel. How long does it take? If it takes you 20 minutes in a room, it'll probably take you double that. That's my experience. Just because you got people, you got experience, you get in a room, you typically get nervous and you talk more than you would in a mirror. So just kind of be thinking about some of those things. Most kids today in high school have played Skyrim. And so I bring up, who's played Skyrim? You may not have played Skyrim yourself. You may have no idea what you're talking about, but just ask the question. Most people have. It's a very common video game today. So you say, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool to have built Skyrim? Be that smart guy who did that. Yeah, we need people like that too who can think up these things and make these businesses. Jack Dorsey, I'm finding more and more high school students are using Twitter than in the past. And in a room, a few people probably use Twitter. I usually ask, who does, who has. Maybe bring up a personal example of you using Twitter, and this guy, Jack Dorsey, not only started Twitter, he started another business called Square. These are both multi-billion-dollar businesses. We need people like Jack Dorsey, to see the future. And again, there are too many people to talk about here, so feel free to kind of skip over some and focus on the ones that you know best. And talk about Steve Jobs and what he was able to build in a relatively short period of time. I mean, Apple stock, when he joined Apple, Apple's on the verge of bankruptcy, and now it's the most valuable company in the world. As we go to the next slide here, so there's kind of 4 main categories of IT. I'm going to talk through each of these here real quick. Infrastructure and support. What we're going to do is we're going to show examples of people in each of these categories and roughly what their lives look like, what they do, how they live, to showcase what it means to be in IT. Programming and development, information assurance, databases, and informatics, and management. So has anybody heard of Robert Stevens, the founder of Geek Squad? You may have heard of him at some point, but Robert Stevens is maybe from Minnesota, but he started Geek Squad here in Minnesota back in the early 90s and was eventually acquired by Best Buy in 2001. And he went from 30 employees to 10,000 employees fixing computers around the world. And he's a fun guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him or hear him speak, this guy is one of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. I try to go to hear him speak every chance I get because the things that he thinks of are just always different and fun. Now he's off in Silicon Valley. He's going to start up a new web venture out there and see where that goes. Isabel Olsen was a senior designer at Google, leading the Project Glass program we're going to talk about, and is currently at Yahoo. And then Mary Lou Jespson, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she led design, development, manufacturing of laptops for the One Laptop Per Child program, where she helped figure out how to make a $100 laptop years ago. This is several years ago now, so that people in Africa and South America and Asia and in third world countries could afford to have computers. The more that we can have people around the world with computers and be able to communicate, the better off we all are. And she decided to figure out, how can I make a venture out of this and build a product to make that happen. So we need this infrastructure to make things happen. Programming development, Bill Gates, one of the richest people in the world, / the richest person in the world. I didn't read the last Forbes magazine yet, but I think he's still the richest. And all he did was make this software program using your computers, which really isn't, frankly, that good. I mean, you guys use Microsoft Windows at home here? Yep. I'm seeing some faces like, wow. He's made, what, $65 billion making a piece of code that actually technically he stole from somebody else. Fascinating story of somebody in development that's been able to make a career and change society. Where would we be without Microsoft Windows today? You can't even envision computers, networks, how things operate. He helped make technology happen. Mark Zuckerberg and Alex Weiler. So Alex Weiler is a programmer here from the Twin Cities that works for a company that helps students basically get internships and then jobs in programming. And he got a job at Facebook, and that's him with Facebook, founder Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is almost exactly 2 years older than I am. He's currently worth about $15 billion. And every year I look at my birthday and I think to myself, I only have 2 more years to get to $15 billion. Not quite there, I'm not quite on that pace, but think of where would we be without that kind of communication tool today? Facebook. 1 billion people have Facebook accounts on this planet. There's only 2 billion people in the world with access to the internet, and 50% of all people in the world with access to the internet has a Facebook account. And oh, by the way, half of those people log into Facebook every single day on average. That's a lot of people logging into a single website. I mean, do you guys log into Facebook nearly every day, or at least once a week? I mean, some people like myself just leave it open all day. Maybe you have it open in class, you're not supposed to, I don't know. I'm guilty of that. When I was in school, I was guilty of that. And then, oh, here's one of my favorites. So there's this gal named Ada Lovelace. She built she was the world's first computer programmer. And this is back in 1852. This is 100 and some years before computers existed. She had this idea that someday machines would be able to read languages and do things with them. And she built a computer language back in the 1850s, predicting this is going to happen. And today's Department of Defense infrastructure and their whole software system is built off of her language, which I think is incredible. And so even if you're into journalism and language, there's a computer language that you could help build that could change the world. Information assurance, databases, informatics. Eric Roby is one of my friends out of LA. He was actually just in town a few weeks ago. He's in computer forensics. And what he does is if you commit a crime, which don't do by the way, but if you commit a crime and the police want to know, who else is involved in this crime, potentially with you, they might take your cell phone from you. And you may have thought about this ahead of time and, wiped your cell phone or deleted everything. His job is to figure out, how do I get everything you deleted off the cell phone back? How do I figure out what text message you sent, what you received, what emails went out, what pictures you took? And that's his whole company, is to figure out, how do I get data back that was previously deleted? There's a whole industry for that. Gregory Evans is a hacker turned cybersecurity expert. There's a conference every year called DEF CON, where all the world's leading hackers go to. I'd like to go because I think it'd be a lot of fun. But hackers come together for this conference, and they show off the things that they've hacked this past year. And whether it's the Boston subway system, and they figured out how to get free subway passes, or it's wireless routers and how to break passwords in wireless routers. I was trying to get access to your wireless. I'm sure they could have figured out a way to figure out the system to get in without needing the password. There are people out there who just do that. There's a whole industry for that. I don't suggest going into the illegal side of hacking, but the good side of hacking, where you figure out, how do I, fill in holes, is another fun world to be a part of. And management. Has anybody played Skyrim? Anybody play video games? Oh, we got a hand in the back. How do you enjoy Skyrim?
I like puzzle games better.
You like puzzle games?
It's pretty.
It is pretty. It's a great game. There are lots of fantastic video games. Again, multi-billion-dollar industries that are a lot of fun. You can make video games. There's actually a gal in town. I'm trying to blank on her name right now, but she has a whole video game design business. And that's what they do, is they make cool video games and then sell them, and that's that world. And so, or Jack Dorsey, he not only founded a company called Twitter, which is a multi-billion-dollar company a few of us use, but he also founded a company called Square at about the same time, just a couple years apart. He's actually technically CEO of two multi-billion-dollar companies that are separate, which I'm not quite sure how you do that and still have a wife and a family, but someday I'll figure that out. But Square is the ability to accept credit cards from your cell phone. And I used to date this girl, and I had this thing where if she ever made me mad, I would swipe her credit card and charge $1. And I thought it was funny. She didn't think it was very funny, but that's what I did. And again, IT impacts everything that we do. Steve Jobs, who recently passed away, think of the incredible things that he did. All he did was build products, iPhones, iPads, that have changed the world. Apple is the most valuable company in the world in a factor of a very short period of time. They went from nothing to on the verge of bankruptcy to becoming the world's biggest company. So really, IT impacts everything. And here's something cool that you may not have seen before. But Google has come up with a product with glasses that allow you to read emails and check in on Foursquare and do things from your glasses. I don't know if you've seen this before. Has anybody seen this before? Nobody? Okay, this is going to be a really cool video.
Meet me in front of Strand Books. at 2. Oh man, really? Hey there, guy. Hey there, little guy. Sweet. Remind me to buy tickets for Monsieur Gano tonight. Where's the music section? Oh, yes, this is it. Is Paul here yet? Huh. Hey, dude, how's it going?
Want to go check out that new place I was telling you about?
Sure.
This truck's really good.
Hey, just a second. Cool.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, man.
Just got a new place in Alphabet City.
See you, dude. Whoa, cool. Take a photo of this. Share it to my circles. Oh, I'm running late. Music, stop.
Hi, what's up?
Hey,
Hey.
you want to say something cool?
Yeah, sure. Is that a ukulele?
Yep. Okay, here goes.
That's beautiful.
So imagine that life that's coming soon. Is that cool? I mean, I'm jazzed. I'm really excited about, maybe this is odd, but the ability to read emails while I'm in a meeting or something and having this kind of life where I just know where things are, I know where my friends are, and it's just like in my vision. I don't know, I'm really excited about this. But this is the life that's coming. You know, A, are you ready? B, are you excited? C, how can you think of something that cool? Create something like that to permanently impact the futures of everybody, society. These kinds of inventions. Then we talk about the next steps. Again, we're here today to be helpful with IT and to help you find the resources that you need. So this is where all the dots start to connect, and your job is to help people take the next step. I'll say it again. Your job right now is to take people to the next step. You're towards the end of your presentation. This is basically your last slide. I usually say that in my presentations. And you want to, as effectively as possible, A, get handouts into everybody's hand. You're going to be given a handout to either print out or have the teacher print out, but give to all the students, which then is going to drive people to the Facebook page. But right here you want to talk about it and say, I want you to go to the Facebook page for TechItOutMN. Make a note to yourself. The more you tell people what you want them to do, the more likely they are to do it. So tell them, I want you to go to our Facebook page, TechItOutMN, and I want you to tell us a story about what you learned today. I want you to upload a video. Practice making a video on your computer. Your computer probably has a webcam. Make a video, upload it to our Facebook page. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're doing. Know that on the Facebook page there are resources. If this is something interesting to you, if you want to take a step today, I mean, really the whole Tech It Out IT Discovery Network, Advanced IT organizations are here today to help you find the resources you need. And there are lots of resources on the Facebook page to help you find additional interesting videos, companies, internship opportunities, all of that, those kinds of resources. So make sure to check it out. And so I just kind of keep talking about that. Join the conversation, engage with others, tell others, you know, and bring it up in your conversations in your daily life. So really that's most of the presentation for today. Now I do have some homework for you, and my assistant will help me hand out the handouts for all of you, but we've built a Facebook page to kind of continue this conversation after today. today's dialogue is just kind of inspire you about where it can go, why to go into IT, why it's important for you. But there are more resources available on the Facebook page for TechItOutMN. And again, TechItOutMN is really the organization designed to help you, students in high school, find the resources you need if you want to go into IT and why you should want to go into IT and just kind of help you go that direction. It's a state organization designed to, again, help this workforce talent gap that we have. We don't have enough IT people in town. We want to encourage you to not only browse the news feed, click on the Student Resources tab, and check out some more interesting videos, post your own videos of what inspired you today, what inspired you to maybe take some action into IT. We'd love to hear from you. We're looking for feedback. We also want to know the stories of what's going on, how you see this. As business owners, as governments, as IT professionals, we need your help to inspire them to go into IT. Every dozen people, every person matters. If we can get 10 more people to want to go into IT that weren't in IT before, that's going to help impact everything. I, as a business owner, struggle with hiring developers. I struggle with hiring quality people. We need more people to be in this industry because that's what's going to save our future as a country. I truly believe that. So again, thank you for volunteering and being a helpful presenter. If you ever have questions, again, my name is Tyler Olson with SMC Pros. My email address is tolson, O-L-S-O-N, tolson@smcpros.com. My phone number is 952-232-5172. Again, that's 952-232-5172. Thanks and have a great day.